Good morning, everybody. Let's give some time for people to join, and then we'll get started with the program. Great to see you all, see familiar faces. I see Matt Bird, our guest speaker, is on promptly. Thanks so much, Matt. Let's see, Marcus, we haven't seen you for a while. How have you been?
Sorry, I've been kind of occupied doing something for the European Commission, which has been taking me a lot longer than was planned.
Fantastic.
But
Okay.
hopefully I'm now back.
So for the purpose of the recording, it's Friday, November 15, and this is the weekly public meeting for Kwaai. It's actually meeting number 68. Okay, let's give it 2 or 3 minutes for the stragglers to join, and then we can get going with the program.
Hey Reza, how you doing, bud?
Great, thanks, Matt. Thanks so much for making the time to come and talk to our crowd.
You know, I get I realize I didn't do a repost and the normal things that I usually do on these things until I realized that I was actually doing the lightning round. I was getting in the lightning round seat, and so I did it. I was last minute. I apologize, and if we do another one of these in the future, I'll try to get ahead of it.
Well, separately, we should talk about how we can maybe make the Kwaai website more of a newsfeed website in the vein of ESG news. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's see. We've got. I think we're at quorum. We're way over quorum. I think we can get going. I'm just going to share a brief slide on the agenda. Our MC Myra is not going to make this call, so you've got me emceeing, and here we go. So this is the agenda for today.
Oh, goodness.
So welcome everybody. We're really honored to have Matt Bird, CEO and Chief Editor of ESG News. And that's the premier outlet for sustainability and news on sustainability. He's going to be talking to us today, and we'll have some Q&A, and then we'll have some work group updates. And I want to talk to you about upcoming elections. We've had the board elections. We've now got the officer elections. We'll cover that in the latter part, and then we'll have some time for community voices and so on. Matt, we're going to embarrass you a bit. Myra looked up some images of you on social media.
That's me on a camel, by the way.
That's you on a camel. Tell us a bit of what were you doing there? That looks.
Well, I can walk you through these photos. Boy, this brings back some memories. And these are embarrassing photos. So in the top right, standing there that's Pat O'Brien, you know, the announcer, Pat O'Brien, on the far right, with his back turned. To the left, wearing the cap is John Paul DeJoria, better known as Paul Mitchell, and the founder of Patron. Jonathan Kendrick, and this is promoting the rocket. It was a launch of, you probably remember the rocket things, and it was handling the humanitarian efforts for John Paul DeJoria. And so this was part of the media tour. We arranged this in Los Angeles. Down below on the right side, me on a camel, that's COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh. And it was we were walking from the blue zone into to, I think it was the Hilton or something like that, and there were, you know, camels on the side, and I figured, wow, got to try this.
So does a camel have a lower carbon footprint than a car?
I think it does. I think a camel does. Yeah. Down below, this is a really embarrassing photo, and my wife tells me I have to delete that from my Instagram, so I know where that came from. So, that was the 72nd General Assembly. I was running the media zone, doing the communications for the launch of the media zone. That was the last year Obama was in office, and that was at the General Assembly. So onto the right is the press and media corps. That was a memorable day. Above that, that's David Ferguson, the launch of Artificial Humanity, I think it's called. No, Trends.
That one.
transhuman something or another. And we did that to the Vatican, and then above that, that's me reporting at the Vatican with Father David Nazar, the head of the Pontifical Universities.
Fantastic. Well, look, it's just us now. No screen share. I'm going to hand over to you. You take us away. Tell us what you want our community to know about you and your organization.
Oh, well, first of all, when my friend here, Reza, asked me to come on, I said yes, and I want you to know this is a lightning round, a totally blind lightning round. So we don't have any scripted questions or anything like that. So I'll do the best I can to kind of keep the flow going. And I guess the introduction of myself, my name is Matt Bird. I'm the CEO of ESG News, and ESG News reports on the global energy transition, and we do it in many forms. For the most part, we try to triangulate and monitor all the headlines regarding anything regarding outcomes and KPIs around the Sustainable Development Goals, deal flow, transactions, leadership, events, covering all the main things that are kind of influencing our global economies today. We do it with a very balanced editorial kind of point of view, not left or right, factual. We try to keep it on points and hope that the organizations disseminating the information publicly, or there's some degree of assurance and credibility behind them. And so we provide those, we report on these daily, and I'm proud to say today ESG News is the #1 publisher of ESG News in the world. And it's our content is fed and consumed and syndicated to over 350 RSS feeds. And I think this last month we topped out at 350,000 page views. No, I'm sorry, 90,000 page views, and with servers on smoke. So I don't think we were ever really intended to get that much traffic, but we are, and we're fortunate to have fantastic partners, NGO, public and private enterprises, and we have a lot of early stage adoption, and we're growing, and it's fantastic to be here. So I don't know what else to say. I'm going to end that question right there.
Great. So we are in the, let's see, we're on a mission to democratize AI. That sounds a bit fluffy and woolly. We implement that mission by building personal AI. We feel that if AI is going to be truly uplifting for humanity, then we really need to focus on the problems of humans first. And so we let's see. I want to get both of us on spotlighted on here.
Yeah.
And there we go. That should do it. Okay. So yeah. So the organization is building personal AI. We feel that AI is currently heading on a dangerous course, and it's not the clickbaity doomer prophecies of robots taking over the world. It's more the sort of same old monopolization and concentration of wealth and power. And AI is yet another tool in the belt of capitalism to concentrate wealth and power. And so we have built a movement in order to be an opposition to that trend of concentration of wealth and power. And we're looking for ways in which we can make AI smarter, faster, and greener. It's the greenness of or the disastrous carbon footprint that AI currently has, where I think there's an overlap between your domain of interest and ours. Do you have any thoughts on AI and the sustainability?
Well, I know that the subject is evolving in real time, and I think that from a technical standpoint, I'm probably outclassed from getting too far down that rabbit hole. But what I can say is the democratization of AI and going down that road, I think, from a sustainability standpoint, I'm going to try to speak just kind of freely. I think that their AI represents an incredible education tool. We know that in modern society, and as you know, I'm involved with Humanity 2.0 and identifying and removing impediments to human flourishing. And when we start talking about what your goals are, you're essentially doing that and trying to provide an open source AI, a personal AI system. And really, at the end of the day, it's going to benefit the peripherals of the planet and benefit from an education standpoint. The undereducated people who have a lack of ability to access those resources or pay for premium-based resources. And I think you're going to find that there's a vast majority of the planet is going to really be able to utilize a personal AI and probably needs it to integrate into modern society. When we're seeing this in lots of areas where second world or third world countries are starting to become first world on a global economy basis simply because of the internet. You layer in, a personal AI into that, all of a sudden they are able to do things from an augmentation standpoint, like an Iron Man with an AI to lift them into the normal workforce. And I say that because I hear a lot about what we do about like where we're at and how it's increasing our workflow. But I really, from a humanitarian standpoint, it will lift humanity in the peripherals of the planet to be able to get to where a lot of the a lot of rest of modern society is at. So I got to tell you, I know there's probably a whole lot in there to unpack, but it's just what's on my mind. On the sustainability side, I think this is a evolving challenge, and I think I don't have a direct answer for it right now, but I don't have a direct answer. This is, I think, a lot of people are trying to trying to solve the AI and sustainability thing.
Well, of course, we've got this rich vein of critical thinkers of AI at Kwaai. We've assembled them and we've posed that problem of AI and sustainability. So there is a thought that we want to bring AI down from the clouds and
Yeah.
run at the edge. And the architectural paradigm that inspires us is the electrical grid. Electrical grid used to be a grid with only central generation. And now we've got generation at the edge. People can generate electrical power at the edge, putting solar panels on their roofs, and that has alleviated the load on the grid, and it has democratized it in a way because you get reimbursed for that generation. You can choose to have no solar panels, you can just be a pure consumer, but now we've allowed people to become both consumers and generators. So I think that
Oh,
we don't have the complete answer, but that's inspiring us, and we're looking at the ways in which AI can be the infrastructure for AI can be decentralized in some way, and and create an economy where people can trade compute resource in order to solve this problem, because the current uh, um, infrastructure, centralized infrastructure, you can not physically get enough electrical power into a data center to support the metropolitan needs of an AI needs of a community. So we got some questions coming in,
it's
but thoughts on that while I
no,
read through the
I think
questions.
that's quite brilliant, actually. At the edge computing, it would probably be a really good use of that real estate. I mean, it's most of the, and also optimizing and monetizing the right from the home excess energy. That's really interesting. It's very creative.
Yeah, so that's
That's
where
very creative.
our headspace is at the moment. And within, Kwaai is an AI lab, first of all. So we're highly technical. And about 80% of our membership are developers. The rest is split between research and policy. And so yes, we're looking at that type of new topology where AI can come to the edge. Okay, so we've got a question from Brad Knowles. You can see it in the chat there. How do you think we can best balance the three problems of, one, making AI available to all people, making sure AI is safe and doesn't go off the rails and hallucinate, and how can we avoid concentrating all this AI information into the hands of a few like OpenAI?
These are great questions. As a communication and a network guy, hopefully I can unpack this just a little bit. You probably a little insight. All right. Making AI more available to the people. Well, today we're a content-driven society, and connections are really important. I think that getting distribution and adoption is everything. I think this is what we're talking about. How do you get more adoption of a platform? Lots of content distribution, relationships, partnerships, alignments. Those typically drive adoption. In the best case scenario, the best case scenario are public and private open source alignments, exactly what you're building right now. You'd be surprised when there's not an actual commercial model, if you're providing just the fundamental piping or just, the database framework and the application layers to be built on top of it. It's much easier to facilitate public and private partnerships when you've got the application layers to build on top of it. So I would say that sheer tonnage of content marketing in public and private partnerships is how I make it more available. Applications, making sure AI is safe, doesn't get off the rails. Well, that comes with governance. I would have to say that's the team that's on this call right now. So, that's a really good question. In fact, I would love to even ask an AI what we would come back and how to govern itself. But I think this is really a governancing thing. And that's a fantastic question. I don't have a direct answer for it, but I'm doing the best I can. How do we avoid concentrating all of the AI information into the hands of a few? Adoption. It gets back to the question number one. Like anything else, we have a highly competitive environment. ESG News, us as a news platform, we compete for market share daily. It's relentless, day in, day out. And, one of the things that we struggle with is innovation. And I don't mean that from a sense of we lack it. We focus so much on innovation, we forget to roll it out. And getting that product out to the market and getting, and having users test it and, generating community around it is like so critical and so key to adoption and building community. So I would say get the product out as fast as you can and fail as fast as you can. So we're never going to build a perfect product. Even OpenAI isn't perfect, and you constantly improve it. But I'm going to say one last thing. I remember when Linux first came out, and so you got Linux, you got all the Windows, and now you get iOS. You've got all these platforms. If you're taking a Linux approach, an open source approach, you got the Red Hats of the world that build applications on top of it. I'm speaking like I know what I'm talking about, but I did grow up in the very town that our former CTO of Real Networks is from. So I am from Bellevue, Washington. So just by osmosis, I absorb LAN and WAN networking. But I would say that you got to get the platform out and get it on platforms, get people testing it. You want it to fail, you really do. And figure out what went wrong and go back and release another version.
Okay. We've got a few more questions. Let's take, well, you can see them in the chat there. I don't know if you have an opinion on what ESG trends are you seeing in data center implementations for AI? And then Duval asks, does ESG news sustainability focus on align with any of the United Nations 17 goals for 2030?
So I'll answer the data center one. Well, I would say the hot thing for data centers right now is nuclear, and I think we had a sidebar sidebar conversation on it, but it does seem like it's the hot topic and trend in AI right now. I can't tell you if it's sustainable or if it's not. The data scientists, you guys are going to have to break that down, but that it would be the biggest trend in AI and data implementation. Now, on the ESG side, benchmarking is the key topic. So in the last 2 years, we went from a lot of planning, ESG and sustainability and sustainable initiatives and ESG planning to action this year, and benchmarking those things. And then next year, I think we're going to see more benchmarking and refined processes. And it's just a natural evolution of any product rollout or development. So ESG has moved in really quickly, and everybody's trying to adjust to it in real time. AI is playing a huge role in that benchmarking process. And I would say that when you have a supercomputer that can help you crunch data numbers like this, it helps things move along quicker. And I don't think things would be moving as fast as they are now if it wasn't for AI.
Fantastic. Okay. We've got a packed agenda. I've got a final question for you. Your CTO is based in South Africa. Liam Moran is.
These are my seats. He's one of our lead project managers.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you might know that the word Kwaai comes from the tip of Africa. It means, well, the Dutch literal translation means wild or angry, but in Cape Town street parlance, it's got this sort of edgy hip hop connotation. It means cool, and in the way the word sick or ill or have nuanced intentions. This other term you mentioned, Linux, the term Ubuntu also comes from Africa, and it's also an expression of community and solidarity. And I wonder what your thoughts are on that. You're a branding expert. We need some help in branding, but I find those
think your
words.
brand names. I think your brand's fine. Look, I once rolled a company called Monk Media with it spelled with a U in the middle, and we end up doing partnership with the NASDAQ. And today, it counts for like Newswire and distribution algorithms and monitoring, and we did it, and everybody thought it was crazy. But if you see it enough times, people will pick it up and it becomes a brand name. So it's really just about repetition, adoption, and bringing out the market. And people will remember it. I mean, you could call something Purple Rock, and they're going to remember Purple Rock. And at some point it goes beyond we're called Purple Shirt, just like your shirt. And at some point it's not going to be Purple Shirt. People are going to think of it as a brand. Oh, that's Purple Shirt. They do, AI. Yeah. So, but I'm going back to my BBDO days. So I think that from a brand standpoint, I think you got to find brand. It defines who you are. You've got personality and spirit. I think it capitalizes. It's all the things that you mean. I think there's more questions coming.
Don't forget the South African word that was adopted. Oh, the penguins. What word are you talking about? Pingu? No.
No. Remember the shipwreck in Cape Town?
Oh, okay. Don't go there. Right. So there's another brand of Linux that calls itself Gentoo. and it's named after the penguins, the Gen 2 penguins.
Oh
However,
yeah.
that term in South Africa has a local meaning which is very different to the penguins, and we will and over a drink we'll talk about that separately. But here's what very concretely I'd like to separately have our team that are working on the new Kwaai website start to maybe figure out how we can collaborate and have specifically sustainable AI news surface up on your platform and have it reflected on our website as well. Let's have that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's a number of things we could collaborate on, Reza. I I actually let me turn this around. So
Sure.
usually I'm on the other side of the mic. So how are things going over at Kwaai?
We are growing. We've got about 700 members. We are when we add up our volunteer hours and count those as in-kind contributions, it clocks at about $8 million of volunteer contributions, and that's when we're clocking the hours donated by the volunteers plus the corporate partners that have donated infrastructure, and we're counting pro bono attorneys and all sorts of stuff. So in terms of a movement purely motivated by a mission and a compelling call to action, I think we've done well. There's so many areas where we're failing. We're seeing a churn of membership that come in and we can't find a home for them. We can't get them connected to the machinery of our organization in sufficient time before they get frustrated and bored and churn out. This is the first time I've run a volunteer organization. So what I'm finding is that this is not a top-down hierarchical management problem. You, in fact, have to inspire grassroots participants to work on projects, and they also get busy. So they're donating their tired hours and their time between jobs, and then they land a job and then they move on. And so the level of documentation and organization in order to preserve what they've done so that someone else can pick it up is a challenge. So look, but we are moving forward. We've written a heck of a lot of software. We've got the personal AI operating system that is the foundation of what we're doing. It's kind of the Linux of personal AI. And then on top of that, we've built applications. We're about to launch the beta in 30 universities and colleges. And so that's AI applied to education. But we've got next year a series of events planned. We've got our summit, which is going to be in Pasadena in California. This will be the third summit we've done, and it's going to be co-located with one of our partners, the Southern California Linux Expo. And then we've opened up an EMEA chapter. So Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We have an EMEA chapter, and their summit's going to be in June in Venice, in Italy. And we've got inbound requests to open up an Asia Pacific chapter. So we'll probably leave that till 2025. But hey, we're growing. We have global aspirations, and we want to achieve self-sufficiency, sustainability for ourselves. So generating our own revenue, not going cap in hand for donations. There.
Well, listen, the one thing I know about foundations is that there's always going to be churn, and in giving, providing the lanes for people to participate is like it's important because everybody wants to contribute. I see it in my business. We see it in my foundations. It's and time is precious. I don't have a magic. I don't have like a magic pill for it, but I can say that, typically when you've got community like this, the community kind of knows the things that they want to work on. And I would love to hear from the community to see what are some of the things that you guys want to be doing. And this kind of gets in the application layers. The flip side of it is sometimes it's difficult to manage all those threads and figuring out, and project managing them. But this, I suppose, and again, and these are challenges I deal with every day, trusting your team and making sure that they can figure out and kind of work through some of the it doesn't necessarily be the nuances, but just the frameworking of that stuff to give them a path to be successful for everybody. And again, these are things that I struggle with every day. And
Right.
and
In
you
a
got
for-profit
700 volunteers. And this is just with like, a couple hundred here and there in events. But that's, you've got a lot of passionate people, and I think everybody wants to contribute, and giving them the platform to do that is, I think, what your job is, right?
Indeed. And look, what's coming up after this session is, well, we're going to have the work group updates, but then I'm going to talk about the officers election. So we've got our officers, their period in office times out in December on the anniversary of our nonprofit. And so we've just elected a new board, and that board needs to elect new officers. So I'll be talking about the whole election process next, and trying to devolve power and control more than it is at the moment. Currently, it's a very centralized management structure, and we're trying to devolve that a bit more. But it's tough to do in a volunteer organization.
Well, that's, the first question that was asked, the very first question that was asked, and there was a couple here I want to answer before,
Sure.
everybody gets bored of hearing this dialogue. But the very first question was asked is, how do you drive adoption? This is the big thing. And driving adoption is you got to get the platform out. You got to get everybody together to roll out that whatever that one thing is. And even if it's in a beta environment, even if it is, I think and I'm sorry, I have two sets of glasses, and I don't want to seem like I'm going through two pairs of glasses on a call. So, but you got to get a product out. On ESG News, we didn't have a commercialization project at ESG News. So the whole idea was to drive adoption. So when you look at ESG News today, you're not going to see a whole lot of ads. In fact, my goal is to keep everything ad free. We have got a couple here from NASDAQ and a few others. It's good brand association, and we really enjoy supporting the proliferation of these data platforms. But we shouldered the primary adoption roadmap to get up and running, and it was painful. It wasn't easy. And to get through the model to where we felt like our integrity was intact. There's always ways to generate, to get funds and to drive sponsorship and those things, but they all come at costs. And I think the question you need to weigh as a team is, what are we willing to compromise integrity wise, and but at the same time, we have to pay bills and we have to get some things done. So sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do to get to the next phase. But with a team, with a network the way that you guys, the community that you have, I don't think technical expertise is the thing that's missing. It sounds like it's access to resources and probably cash. Yes. Get everybody to fuel everybody.
Cash helps.
But I would have to imagine, and this is something we can talk about offline. I mean, the content marketing programs, and like these developer thons and all the things that go on up there, they're highly visible, and they generate. There's brands that want to be part of those things, and those things could be put together. But it takes community for everybody to come together and go, okay, we're all going to do this, and we're all going to market this all at the same time. And let's just get it out there, and let's create our own viral movement. And you focus that kinetic energy into one thing, right? So Reza, we can talk about this. I can
Sure.
go on for hours
Let's
about how
let's do that. Let's schedule some a separate call. Remind me, what town are you in? Where are you located?
I'm in Connecticut right now.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, we've
Okay.
got some folks over on the East Coast as well. But look, there's a message from Doc. Doc, maybe you want to come on camera, and just so Doc is our guru, our chief. We've given him the title Chief Intention Officer. So I'm gonna promote his book, Doc wrote The Intention Economy.
I think I am on camera. I don't know if I left it or not. Am I
Okay.
audible? This thing is not always
Yeah.
working.
I'm gonna, yeah.
I am
I'm-
audible. Oh, I just made a note just saying that funding is just a great thing that helps, and we're in the hunt, and it's kind of a chicken and egg thing because we also need to get product in people's hands, and that product needs to be an invention of others' necessity. When you see it, you grab it. I gotta have that. I gotta have that. And as we're mostly working on an OS on which apps or we call abilities can run, and those are the things that are going to make it move. So anyway, just
Yeah.
so there's the chicken is the funding and the egg is the product, or either way, but I was just making a marginal note that those two things are things that we need. We're making a lot of progress toward the product without the funding, which is remarkable and encouraging. But I think there'll be a lot less of the churn that Reza was talking about once we have that in the world.
Yeah. So okay, look, we're well over time for this slot. Let's get on with the rest of the agenda. Normally I have Myra here keeping us on task, but I'm gonna switch over to sharing yeah.
Reza, sorry, Mary, I don't mean to interrupt. There is one last question that I wanted to respond. I think Duval asked if ESG News sustainably focused aligns with the UNSCG. Absolutely. Almost everything we do aligns with the SDGs. I was fortunate to be part of the launch group at the UN, and we work interchangeably with a number of the different agencies, and ESG News is a member of the UN Global Compact. So we're a proud member of the UN Global Compact. But thank you for that question. That was great. I don't know if we're going to hit all of our sustainable goals by 2030. We're certainly going to try. Sorry, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt. Matt, thank you so much for coming on. You're welcome to stay on the call. We are going to move over to work group updates, and then I want to talk about the upcoming elections. And then separately, Matt, you and I will schedule a separate call, follow-up call. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Okay, so we are going to share here. So we're sharing the agenda. Perhaps we can get a brief update from the software development from the Pi Assistant group or the OS group, knowing that Sam is actually traveling in Europe at the moment.
Cyan isn't available either, so I think he mentioned Roy should be able to if he's on the call.
And if not, I can go straight on to the election. Okay, let's do that. I'm wondering, do you see my screen that says the elections?
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. Okay. And okay, so we are going to be going through the officer elections. Here's our organization. Our organization, as you know, is composed of a set of officers, a board. We just elected a new board. We've got an advisory council that's been kind of dormant, and we need to reactivate that. But here's the real power of the organization. It's the army of foot soldiers. It's the community of AI critical thinkers, and we now number just under 700. And we are executing a plan. The plan is to build personal AI. We're doing that through tools, which are basically the software we're building, researching fundamental AI, and drafting policy. But now we come to the point where any organization that's going to run democratically needs to follow rules, and our rules are that we elect the principals in the organization. So we've just elected a new board, and that happened a few weeks ago, and you were introduced to the new board, and that's Larry, Ruth, Ted, Rika, and Eunice. We're really grateful for their participation in the organization, and they're going to be responsible for electing the officers. So you recall the officers over here are the ones that run the company, run the organization day to day. Okay, so let's talk about that. Here are the officer positions as called out in our bylaws. And in order to run the organization democratically, these are elected positions. Now, the first time when we started the company, we appointed those positions, and but those positions time out on the anniversary of the nonprofit, which is December 11. So before then, we need to elect these positions. We were a young organization, and there were only a few people who were ready to step up to take an officer position. So we split the 5 roles amongst 3 individuals. So the chair and the treasurer role was handled by one individual, myself. Afshin Beheshti is the president, and Matt took on both the vice president and the secretary role. And as you find in all volunteer organizations, the secretary role, members sometimes get busy. They move on to other things. And so Matt stepped down from the vice president and the secretary role. And so I took on the 4 roles, and Afshin's still president. And that's not sustainable. So we look forward to getting some more people to work on it. So currently, as I said, Afshin Beheshti is the incumbent. He's the president. It's a big role, and we hope Afshin will stand again to run this. I think he's eminently qualified, but he'll be the first to say if anyone feels that they're more qualified, then they should throw their hat in the ring. But this is a position, the way we've defined the president's role is that the president is our connection with academia. He's the head of our research, and he fosters academic and research partnerships. And she, the president, will oversee our grant writing activity. Okay, the chair, the current incumbent, that's me, is also the chief executive officer of the organization. So that's basically all operational activity would report up to the chair, but also oversees the vision, mission, and long-term goals, and is the chairman of the board. So that is the chair role, and these job descriptions will be posted by the end of the day in a channel called Officer Elections, and you can see that, and we'll have that all posted. There is the vice president role, which I took over after Matt stepped down, but look, the position is available. It's a part-time role. The requirements are whereas the chair role is largely a full-time role. This is a part-time role, but requiring a minimum of 20 hours per week. So it's kind of a half-time role. The vice president's the public face of and the development officer of the organization. So basically ensuring work groups are functioning effectively, overseeing human resources. It's basically the onboarding of new volunteers, responsible for membership as well. Now, typically in organizations, there are a number of vice presidents, and that we anticipate will happen. Whether these are board elected vice presidents or whether they are simply appointed will determine later on. Okay, so let's go to the rest of. There is a secretary position. The secretary is really responsible for maintaining the set plays of a volunteer organization, of a 501c3, making sure that we maintain accurate records, minutes of our meetings, making sure that we communicate with the board effectively, and we are compliant with all the record keeping and documentation needs and regulatory needs and requirements. Also responsible for cybersecurity and our data governance and so on. It's a part-time role requiring a minimum of 20 hours per week. And that might be, yeah. So then there's the treasurer role. I've been taking on the treasurer position, but I'd be happy for someone else to do it. Someone maybe with a bit more of an accounting background, because, hey, you're going to be responsible for filing the tax return, overseeing the sort of fiscal management of the organization. Election plan. Okay. Well, our plan, we formed an election committee, which was Myra, Debbie, and Mark Vega. I can't see the screen, so I don't know if they are on
We're
the
here.
call.
We're here.
I'm here. We're here.
Mark, why don't I hand over to you and Myra to talk through the election plan?
I'm here too, okay?
Hey, Debbie. I did not see you. There you are. Okay, I see all the faces now.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like the election committee to talk through the election plan.
Sure. So we met already a couple of times. I think as Riza showed, we have all the job descriptions, the time commitments, everything set out for all the roles. I think the way that we would want to do this is to have everyone submit a letter of intention that is interested in any one of these positions. Riza, I don't know if you created that channel yet.
The
Yeah.
channel is created. I haven't
Oh.
populated it.
Okay. So to post your letter of intent into that channel, which we will leave open until for 2 weeks, right? So that goes until, sorry, let me check my calendar.
We'll go to
The 29th.
Yeah.
After that, the board will review the applications, discuss, see who they want to vote for. Then a vote would be taken, and we will announce those members December 6th, which will be our Friday call. Mark, Debbie, would you guys like to add anything?
Thank you, Mike.
Pretty
Debbie,
much.
may I?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. Then you can close it up because you're such a good closer, that Debbie. Wow, she's so good. Okay, good to see you all today. Thank you very much for letting us be of service. The bylaws are pretty clear in this existing set of bylaws. We have a brand new set board of directors. Very happy about that because they will have a lot of good work to do. With respect to the elections, we thought the best way to be as authentic and transparent as possible, and also tip our hat to Matt Small, because when we did the board elections, Matt recommended, why don't we just do position statements and candidate statements? And of course, Brilliant idea. So what we're going to do is invite everyone to review those job descriptions, the one that Reza just posted for all of us, and ensure or invite people to put whatever kind of statement they'd like to put together and embed it, post it up here in this hashtag officer-election channel in Slack that Reza has just created. And then as quickly or slowly as people want to do that, great. The election committee, that's Debbie and Myra and myself, have really one job, and that is as we collect those that input, and it's public, people will see that. Our job is really to check the boxes to make sure that the descriptions of the role is each of those job description elements are kind of referenced in the candidate's statement. So if there's anything that's just completely out of the range of the parameters hoped for or requested, the election committee is going to identify those potential candidates in one category. And then another category is there's no flags at all. All of the candidates, even if there's 200 of them, will be presented to the board. Now, we're not going to let the board of directors freak out or panic. So Myra and Debbie and I will be of service to the board of directors so that we can help them kind of manage their role in the current bylaws to really assess who these candidates are and help the board elect each of these 5 candidates per the bylaws and in the timeline that Myra has just presented. So thank you for all letting us be of service. And Debbie, to you.
So if I may, I've been here for a year now almost. And one thing I've noticed about this community is that there's a lot of talented people here. I see a lot of talented people. I see a lot of people with vision. And so I came here thinking that I would not be of value. And yet I think I've provided value, right? I'm not well-versed in tech, but yet I try to provide value as best as I can. And so I know these are positions that may seem, like maybe like you think, well, I may not be qualified for it, but here's a chance to help either provide whatever your vision is. I would say, even if you think you may not get it, put your kind of foot out there, because you never know. The one message Riza has said all year is democracy, my God. Like, this is a democracy. And he really wants to drive this because he's trying to, but then if people don't step up, he can't pull you, right? Like, he can only communicate this. So, here's the chance. But again, we can't pull you in. You have to take that step. So this is what the elections are for. Oh my God. I'm the last person, trust me, who you want talking about elections. So, I'm just putting it out there.
Right.
But I'm just saying, that's my 2 cents. But I know I'm working with a group of people who are visionaries, who have good intentions, and they want to build good things. And we are one of the few organizations out there who can truly make a difference. I hear it every Friday. I see it in all of your eyes. I know you guys want to do good, but to do good and for tech to be good, I can be the loudspeaker and the loud mouth, but my God, I need you all to do the work. So that's it.
Thank you, Debbie.
Bravo, Debbie. Reza?
Yeah, so by the end of the day, we'll have that channel populated with the job descriptions. It's currently in a Google Doc that we've all reviewed. So somebody needs to take the JDs out, create the PDFs of them, and put that in the as separate documents in there for everyone to read. Maybe create a canvas in the channel of here are the deadlines. Okay, Myra's on it, fantastic, and let the process go. And so what you would be doing is posting your candidate statement there, having read the job description. So your candidate statement needs to be responsive to the job description. There's one more thing that I have to say. These are volunteer positions, unpaid volunteer positions. There's no implied promise that they will be paid. However, we are raising funds. There's 4 fundraising funnels. One is through donations, one is through grant writing, one is through event sponsorship, And the fourth one, which is just about to start, is corporate membership. And there is an operations team running that, and we meet every Monday at 10 o'clock. If you want to be part of that effort, the fundraising and the sort of revenue operations, then let me know, and you can participate there. Great. Okay, we got 5 minutes left, and it'd be great to hear from new voices. Who do you see? Who's new? And hands up. Use the raising hands feature in Zoom if you want to have a word in the last 5 minutes. And if you don't, I'm going to call on you.
That's what I was trying to say, unlike in the Friday call.
Cool. I see one or two new names, and you should really speak up, because I'm gonna call on you. I see there's a Liam Broza and Liam Haney, two new Liams.
That's exactly what I was looking at.
Right. Okay. It'd be great to hear from you, Liam. Unmute yourself and.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Liam Broza. I actually was recommended to come here by several people, Brittany Deniver, Kalia Young. I actually see Doc Cyril's here, who's absolutely awesome. I've known for a while. I've been working on a project called LifeScope for about over 10 years now, which is like I call it a digital memory engine. It's essentially just like a personal search engine that collects all the data from all the services you use, your web browser, your devices. And I've been essentially powering conversational agents with it, mainly Llama, kind of as a pet project. I just exited earlier this year my last company, which was like a immersive company called Ethereal Engine to Infinite Reality. And I've essentially had a very nice exit, and in the last few weeks left that company, and I'm now working on personal AI full time, trying to do it open source, trying to do it self-sovereign. I've been building like a 12 rack data cluster at my house to run this thing, like a Kubernetes cluster. And I've been reaching out to people, and this group came up from multiple different fronts, being recommended to come and actually interface. I was very much looking through Pi OS and other things, and I see a lot of similarities. Yeah, and I'm about to close on a big venture round, essentially to build open source tech, and would love to help collaborate and share. I'm going to make some big announcements next week. I just got a table at CES, if you guys are going to be at CES, and TechCrunch. And so there might be opportunities. I missed IIW. I was going to go to IIW and show this off too. I've heard a lot of you guys go to IIW. So,
Liam, let's have a separate call maybe early next week. Yeah. That's fantastic. Awesome. There's the other Liam. Maybe you want to talk as well.
Yeah, sure thing. So my name is Liam Haney, and I'm just a computer science student, and then also I do pretty much all the data work for a small to mid-sized trucking company. So that's been pretty fun. So I'm relatively new to the scene. I actually only switched from healthcare to data this year, but I've been working really hard and come very far in my studies, and been really happy with the direction I'm going. Again, mostly focused on data, and then looking at kind of getting a little bit more immersed into the machine learning community, and then also, of course, getting a general computer science degree as well. So.
Welcome. We're looking forward to finding a way for you and speak with Myra for the onboarding. Hopefully, if you've joined, you've actually signed up at Kwaai.ai, and you can get access to the Slack and get access to the whole community that way. Thanks so much. There's an after party, our weekly idea exchange, which is straight after this. The coordinates are in the chat. So if you want to come and join us there, you can do that. Before we go, I just want to shout out to a few people who've been really helpful this week. Obviously, the election committee for the last couple of weeks and the previous election. Thank you so much for your hard effort. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Myra. I'd like to thank Ira Liss. Ira, I see you there. Ira, he's the connector in chief, and he's managed to schedule several important meetings for us. And thank you so much, Ira, for shaking out your Rolodex and making those connections for us. Yeah, and I also want to thank Doc. Doc, you've also made some super important connections for us, and we've had follow-up meetings, and they really, hopefully they'll bear fruit as well. Okay, look,
Frieza, before you end the call. So just if anyone hasn't joined yet, please go to kwaai.ai to join, to sign up as a volunteer. And if you guys do that today, I'll make sure everyone's added to Slack and can be part of the process as soon as possible.
Okay. Well, look, thanks so much.
I also want to promote next week, by the way, because we're going to have Ben Moskowitz put us in the chat.
Fantastic.
From Consumer Reports. It's a very big deal that Consumer Reports, a gigantic organization, relatively speaking, for a nonprofit.
Yeah. So next week, Doc is going to be the anchor for the meeting, and Myra will be the MC. But his guest speaker is Ben Moskowitz, Consumer Reports. And Myra, maybe if you can get that get the event out sooner, then we
get
can
get that one promoted, because it's it'll matter.
Yeah.
Yep, I will get that out this weekend.
I won't be around. I'm actually attending a wedding on that day in Tipperary in Ireland, and then I'll be Ruth and I will be in London, and then only returning to the US December 4th. So we're going to be a bit scarce. I'll still try and stay connected, but I'm cancelling most of my work group meetings over that period. First Thanksgiving that we will have missed in 30 years in the US, but hey, we can do with less turkey. Okay, thanks so much. I'll catch you at the after party.
Go to the after party. Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. Keep well. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.